Good morning, welcome on this last Sunday in May. We finally have some sun, which is a good thing. There is no YRUU today, and if anybody in K through 8 wants to participate in the RE, it's already started, but feel free to join them. I'm Barb Holzhauer. I'm one of your trustees, and this is part of what a trustee does on an occasional basis. Just want to highlight a couple things from the announcements. There's plenty of them for you to look at. They ask that I specially bring to your attention the dedication ceremony, actually a week from today, June 1st. And also that on Tuesday, June 3rd, it's number 6 in your announcements, that there is an LGBTQ plus crafts and gaming group that's meeting in the evening from 6 to 7:30. So keep that in mind. As you can see, we've got a focus on immigration for today's topic. And just wanted to remind everybody, in case you didn't know, we are all immigrants to this land. And it should be that just some of us came earlier than others. Just on Friday, I was at this art place down in Plano, Illinois, where they had some Native American stuff, and they had a cap that said, "We are on Native land." And I thought it was pretty cool, but it was $35, so that was a little too much for me. If you are either online or a visitor and want to contact us, you've got this that you probably received when you came in. And let me just see here if there's anything else that I have to mention. I think I'm good, so.
Whoever you are, from wherever you come, you are welcome here. Whomever you love, whatever family means to you, you are welcome. The identities you hold, how you want to be called, and your pronouns are respected and welcomed here. Whatever the color of your skin, the language you speak at home, the cultures that move in you, whatever your abilities and disabilities, we welcome you. Wherever it is you've traveled from to be here, whatever you believe, whatever your theology, prayer, or sacrament, even if none at all, we welcome you. Whether you are here in person, joining us from home, or zooming in from wherever your life journey has taken you, we welcome you. We join together in Unitarian Universalist principles. We are a community of communities, spiritual seekers acting out our faith in justice, united in covenant and the spirit of love. We welcome all of you. Good morning. My name is Eddie Daniel, and my pronouns are he and him. As a member of the worship ministry team, it is my privilege to be leading the service today. Also assisting with us today is our song leader, Maria O'Connor. Our guest speaker this morning is our own Polly Ellingson. She has been a UUCW member since 2005 and a longtime member of the choir. She has served on the Board of Trustees and several other committees. She will be telling you herself more about her experience and expertise with regard to the subject of immigration in her message. Now, please stand in body or in spirit and sing hymn number 1016.
Prophecies are marvelous. Profetiza, pueblo mío, profetiza una vez más, que tu voz sea el eco del clamor de los pueblos en opresión. Profetiza, pueblo mío, profetiza una vez más, anunciándole a los pobres una nueva sociedad. Announce to all the people that justice promised long, restore to every nation true peace throughout the world. Profetiza, pueblo mío, profetiza una vez más, que tu voz sea el eco del clamor de los pueblos en opresión. Profetiza, pueblo mío, profetiza una vez más, anunciándole a los pobres una nueva sociedad. Denounce all who are causing oppression, sorrow, tears. Let truth be your protection, the light of a new song. Profetiza, pueblo mío, profetiza una vez más, que tu voz sea el eco del clamor de los pueblos en opresión. Profetiza, pueblo mío, profetiza una vez más, anunciándole a los pobres una nueva sociedad. Let this be what you hope for, the battle that you choose, to build a social order with justice at its core. Profetiza, pueblo mío, profetiza una vez más, que tu voz sea el eco del clamor de los pueblos en opresión. Profetiza, pueblo mío, profetiza una vez más, anunciándole a los pobres una nueva sociedad.
When Unitarian Universalists get together to worship, we light a chalice as a symbol of our faith. The flaming chalice represents many things, including the light of reason, the warmth of community, and the flame of hope. If you are joining us from home, I invite you to kindle a flame of your own. The words for today's chalice lighting are adapted from Andrea Hawkins Camper. Please join with me in reading the words that are printed in your order of service. Blessed are we who gather with open hearts together in this space today. Blessed are we, the chalice lighters of resistance, justice, love, and faith. Blessed are we, the heretics, the outcasts, the walkers of our own way. Blessed are we, the border crossers, the refugees, the immigrants, the poor, the wanderers who are not lost. Blessed are we, the transgressors, the trespassers, the passers-by, the cause takers, the defiant, the compliant. Blessed are we, the hand extenders, the sign makers, the protesters, the the protectors. Blessed are we, the trans women, the trans men, the non-binary, the cisgender, the multigender, the no gender. Blessed are we, the friend, the stranger, the lonely, the hidden, the visible, the authentic. Blessed are we who rise in solidarity. Blessed are we who cannot. Blessed are we who do not. Blessed are we, for this is our beloved community, and this is who we are. We enter now a time for sharing joys and sorrows that touch our individual lives, our way of expressing through ritual the many ways that we touch and are touched by each other. In a moment, you'll be invited to come to the mic to share your joy or concern. If you have something you'd rather not share aloud, you can use the QR code on the order of service or the share side of the blue slip to put something in writing. Raise your hand if you need a writing implement. For those of you at home and for anyone at other times during the week, you can use the link in our weekly e-news to let us know what's going on in your lives and in your heart. What you share today aloud is only for the ears of those gathered now. It will not be posted in the video of the service or shared in our e-news. So now, please come to the mic, form a line on either side, or raise your hand and an usher will bring you a mic. I will light a candle for you, and after each sharing, I will invite you all to respond with me. We hold you in love. So, considering the topic of today's service, we should light a candle for all of those people who are suffering under the oppression of the current regime that doesn't seem to support immigration. And one last candle for those joys and concerns not shared but held deep in our hearts. We hold you in love. So now we have a responsive reading, which is found in your order of service, but there is a twist. You, the congregation, will begin, and you will read the words in bold italics. I will respond. The title is They Say I Am Illegal by Julia Hamilton. Now you may begin. But so is anyone who ever rolled through a stop sign, jaywalked, or threw trash on the ground. Not having a visa is a civil infraction, not a federal crime. But the jobs are often backbreaking and underpaid, and we are exploited by those who could never find a U.S. citizen to work under such conditions. But it is U.S. consumers buying the drugs and U.S. weapons in the hands of the desperate. But I pay taxes too, and yet I live in a shadow economy that denies me the benefits of a secure old age and medical care if I get hurt on the job. But the true heritage of the United States is diversity, and I add my words and my traditions to the culture that enriches us all. But can you remember another mother who braved hardship and danger to bring her baby safely into this world? Can you deny Mary or Maria the right to fight for a better life for her child? But what about the student who overstays her visa? The artist who cannot marry his American boyfriend? Or the grandmother who cares for the baby while the mother works? We may not all wear boots, but we may have come from many countries, and yet we are alike. But you are not diminished if I am raised up. Humanity is enriched when we climb together towards the light. Life is not a zero-sum game. Now please stay seated for the singing meditation, number 1032 in the hymnal.
We'll sing this in a call and response fashion. I will sing a word or two, and you can sing back with Maria. Dauna naish,
Dauna naish,
besalam,
Besalam,
Dauna naish,
Dauna naish,
beaman,
Beaman,
Dauna,
Dauna,
Nancy,
Nancy,
Alam,
Alam,
Dauna namut,
Dauna namut,
Besalam,
Besalam.
The reading is We Imagine a Path, written by D. Scott Cooper. Let us imagine a path, not one path, but many. We imagine a path forward for those who cannot imagine a path forward because of poor health, financial hardship, family crises, and other roadblocks that we cannot begin to understand or even imagine. We struggle to imagine a path forward for those who are forced to leave a homeland against their will, and for those unable to leave a war-torn homeland despite their lives being in danger. We imagine a path forward for those who leave their homes to make a better life for their families elsewhere. May we be a welcoming presence along that path toward hope. We come together to imagine a path forward for those of us despairing because we do not seem to know our country or our neighbors, despite the fact that we have not moved at all. May we be the good one we are hoping to find as we travel side by side down the path toward hope. We imagine a path forward for those who feel lonely at this time. May we take one another's hands as we walk that path toward community. Truly, we know as we imagine these ways forward and take one another's hands, the paths will lead to hope. The roads will lead to beloved community, and the arc will bend toward justice, because we have dared hang on, I'll get there. Because we have dared to travel with love in our hearts.
Good morning. By way of introduction, I retired from the practice of law on June 30, 2023, and for 21 years prior to that, my practice consisted of employment-based immigration law, primarily assisting U.S. employers to bring foreign nationals to the U.S. under laws allowing for temporary U.S. employment. In some cases, that led to petitions for permanent resident status, and in a few cases, to U.S. citizenship. I did not represent undocumented immigrants, but I have continued to monitor legal developments in that area. Given that Mr. Trump made deportation of, quote, illegal immigrants, unquote, a signature promise during his presidential campaign, it's hardly surprising that he has taken a number of actions to carry out that promise since his inauguration. However, the nature and number of the actions he has taken is breathtaking and, in some cases, illegal. If you watch the television news regularly, you've likely seen footage of Venezuelans who were shackled and deported to the notorious CCOT prison in El Salvador. This occurred because President Trump issued a proclamation on March 14, 2025, invoking the Alien Enemies Act, declaring that the Tren de Aragua gang, designated a foreign terrorist organization, is perpetrating, attempting, and threatening an invasion or predatory incursion against the U.S. That TDA is undertaking hostile actions and conducting irregular warfare against the U.S., both directly and at the direction of the Maduro regime in Venezuela. Based on this, he proclaimed that all Venezuelan citizens 14 years of age or older in the U.S. who are members of TDA and not naturalized or permanent residents of the U.S. are liable to be apprehended, restrained, secured, and removed as alien enemies. The Alien Enemies Act was passed in 1798 and grants the president power to detain and remove foreign citizens of a hostile nation or government when there is a declared war with such nation, or when a foreign nation threatens invasion or predatory incursion against the U.S. Before now, U.S. presidents have invoked the Alien Enemies Act only 3 times, each in the context of an ongoing war: the War of 1812, World War I, and World War II. In what can be understood as covert preparation to skirt the requirements of the Alien Enemies Act and the Constitution's guarantee of due process, the Department of Homeland Security began moving Venezuelan migrants from ICE detention centers across the country to the El Valle detention facility in South Texas before the president had even signed the proclamation. The transferred detainees did not know the reason for their transfer until the evening of March 14, when they were told that they would be deported the next day to an unknown destination. Suspecting that the president had covertly signed a proclamation, several lawyers anticipated their client's imminent deportation and filed a class action lawsuit in federal court in the District of Columbia, contesting the claim that TDA had committed or attempted an invasion or predatory incursion against the U.S. and asserting that it would violate the Due Process Clause of the U.S. Constitution to deport their clients and others in the class before they had a chance to challenge the government's allegations of gang membership. In the early morning of March 15, the district court informed the government of the lawsuit and scheduled an emergency hearing for 5 p.m. that afternoon. Despite knowing of the plaintiff's claims, the government loaded 140 Venezuelans in Texas onto planes bound for El Salvador without any opportunity to contact their lawyers, much less notice or opportunity to be heard. Recognizing that the government had deported the plaintiffs without due process, Judge James Boasberg issued temporary restraining orders prohibiting the government from removing the Venezuelans from the U.S. As you likely know, the government claimed that the planes had already left U.S. airspace, and the court no longer had jurisdiction to order the Venezuelans' return. When Judge Boasberg denied the government's emergency motion to refrain from enforcing those orders, the government appealed to the Supreme Court, which subsequently vacated the lower court's orders. In an April 7th opinion, the U.S. Supreme Court said that Alien Enemies Act detainees must receive notice that they are subject to removal under the Act and be given a reasonable time to seek habeas corpus in the proper court before removal occurs. Unfortunately, the U.S. Supreme Court declined to issue an opinion on the applicability of the Alien Enemies Act and held that a habeas petition could only be brought where the Venezuelans were confined, in this case, in Texas. This has led to habeas actions being brought by undocumented immigrants in multiple federal courts across the U.S., and with mixed results. For example, on April 17 in the Northern District of Texas, alleged TDA members were detained by ICE and were served with notices of Alien Enemies Act removal and told they will be removed, quote, tonight or tomorrow, unquote. They sought a temporary restraining order in federal district court against the removal, which was denied, and they subsequently appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court, which held that, quote, notice roughly 24 hours before removal, devoid of information about how to exercise due process rights to contest that removal, surely does not pass muster, unquote. Talk about the understatement of the year. However, the Supreme Court found only that the case should be sent back to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, and the government is enjoined from removing alleged TDA members pending further action by the court. Among the individuals deported to El Salvador on April 15th and jailed at CICOT was Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was born in El Salvador and left there at the age of 16 for the U.S. 6 years ago, a federal immigration judge said that he could be deported, but expressly prohibited the government from returning him to his native El Salvador, where gang activity might still pose a threat to his life. The reason he was deported, the Trump administration claimed that he was part of a Salvadoran American criminal gang called MS-13, based partly on his clothes and tattoos. And you may remember seeing President Trump on television with what appeared to be Abrego Garcia's hand with MS-13 on it. And that photo was not true. In court, a government lawyer admitted that Abrego Garcia's deportation was an administrative error, and upon appeal, the U.S. Supreme Court ordered the Trump administration to, quote, facilitate his return, unquote, to the U.S. Mr. Trump stated early on that he had no authority to compel El Salvador to return Mr. Abrego Garcia to the U.S. However, in an interview with ABC News in early May, Mr. Trump said that he could tell the Salvadoran government to send him back to the U.S. if he wanted to, but that he simply did not care to do so. The Trump administration recently sent a diplomatic note to officials in El Salvador to ask about releasing Abrego Garcia, but the authoritarian government of El Salvador claimed that he should stay in El Salvador because he was a Salvadoran citizen. The U.S. is paying El Salvador $6 million to imprison deportees, many of whom have no criminal record. So I leave it to your judgment as to whether Mr. Trump could compel Mr. Abrego Garcia's return to the U.S. In a new development, a lawyer for the Justice Department has claimed that while Mr. Abrego Garcia's expulsion from the U.S. was in fact an error, it was neither illegal nor an example of government misconduct. On Wednesday, a federal district court judge in Boston said that the Trump administration had violated an order he issued last month, barring officials from deporting people to countries not their own without first giving them sufficient time to object. The judge's decision came at a hearing to consider an emergency motion filed by lawyers for a group of men who they say were deported after being told they were being sent to South Sudan, a violence-plagued country in Africa. None of the individuals came from South Sudan. Another egregious action taken by the Trump administration was to declare a national defense zone of from 60 feet to 3 miles wide along New Mexico's 180-mile border with Mexico, which would allow the U.S. to bring criminal charges against undocumented migrants for entering a newly declared military installation, in addition to misdemeanor charges of entering the U.S. illegally. A federal judge this week dismissed charges against nearly 100 migrants detained for willfully violating security regulations, saying that the federal government had failed to show that the migrants actually knew they were unlawfully entering a restricted military area. An additional 300 migrants may also contest those charges. However, this does not mean that they cannot be prosecuted and deported for illegal entry into the U.S. In addition, in the past 4 months, the Pentagon has sent thousands of active duty combat troops and armored Stryker combat vehicles to the southwestern border to confront what President Trump declared on his first day in office as, quote, an invasion of migrants, drug cartels, and smugglers, unquote. The military has also dispatched U-2 spy planes, surveillance drones, helicopters, and even 2 Navy warships to surveil the border and coasts around the clock. In the last few weeks, President Trump has started to implement a plan to find migrants who fail to leave the U.S. after a final deportation order, issuing notices to 4,500 migrants with penalties totaling more than $500 million. The fines stem from a 1996 law that was enforced for the first time in 2018 during Trump's first term in office. The plan includes levying fines of $998 per day for migrants retroactively for up to 5 years. One Mexican woman in Pennsylvania who received notice of a $1.8 million fine had received a deportation order in 2013, but was not aware of it. After crossing the border in 2015, she was released to pursue an asylum claim when an officer found that she had a credible fear of persecution. However, she said she never received an immigration court hearing notice and was ordered deported after failing to show up in court in 2018. The woman said her $13 per hour job barely covers rent and expenses for her and her six-year-old son. What an exercise in futility. Undocumented migrants are not the only foreign nationals being targeted by ICE. As part of President Trump's immigration agenda in his second term, his administration has focused on arresting and detaining foreign students and academics for speaking out against the war in Gaza, raising an alarm about freedom of speech in the process. Badar Khan Suri, a postdoctoral fellow at Georgetown, was released after 58 days in an immigration detention facility in Texas. The government claims that his social media posts and alleged ties to Hamas, much of which stems from his father-in-law's work as an advisor to a former Hamas leader, are a threat to U.S. foreign policy. However, earlier this month, a federal judge said that the government did not present any evidence of ties to Hamas, and that his detention violated his First Amendment rights. He ordered the student's immediate release, but his case is ongoing. On March 25th, a Tufts University doctoral student named Rumeysa Öztürk from Turkey, who was in the US on a student visa, was arrested by ICE agents in masks and plain clothes outside her home in Somerville, Massachusetts. She was put on a plane to a detention center in Louisiana. Her arrest led to public outrage at her treatment and criticism that the government is abusing the immigration system to deport international students in the guise of combating anti-Semitism. Her lawyers have accused the government of detaining her in retaliation for speech that is protected by the First Amendment. The main evidence against her appears to be an essay critical of Israel that she helped to write in a Tufts student newspaper last year. She was released from immigration detention on May 9th after 6 weeks in detention, after a federal judge said her continued detention could potentially chill the speech of millions and millions of individuals in this country who are not citizens. Federal officials wanted to fit her with an ankle monitor, but the judge issued an order said that she was to be released immediately without any form of ICE monitoring. ICE is Immigration Customs Enforcement. On April 30th, Mohsen Madawi, an organizer of the pro-Palestinian movement at Columbia University, was freed from federal custody 16 days after immigration officials detained him and sought to rescind his legal permanent resident status as part of a widening crackdown against student protesters. In releasing Mr. Madawi on bail, Judge Jeffrey Crawford of the Federal District Court in Vermont said, quote, "This is not the first time that the nation has seen chilling action by the government intended to shut down debate," unquote. A green card holder for the past 10 years, Mr. Madawi was not accused of a crime. However, Secretary of State Marco Rubio has said that immigration authorities have the right to eject even legal residents from the country for protest activities that the government says harm America's foreign policy interests. And he said specifically, Mr. Madawi's activities could, quote, potentially undermine, unquote, the Middle East peace process by reinforcing anti-Semitism. Mr. Madawi's lawyers had requested a temporary restraining order in order to prevent federal officials from transferring him to a more conservative jurisdiction. That tactic was used in the detention and attempted deportation of Mahmoud Khalil, a legal permanent resident and Columbia University graduate student who has been in a Louisiana detention facility since his arrest on March 9th. Mr. Khalil, a leader in the Columbia University student movement that has criticized Israel's military campaign in Gaza, has become a central figure in the U.S. debate over the war and Trump administration tactics of using its jailing and deportation power against political opponents. Mr. Khalil's lawyers have repeatedly asked the judge to decide to release their client on bail, and on Thursday there was a day-long hearing in Louisiana Immigration Court to determine whether the U.S. can proceed with his deportation. And maybe you have read of the fact that he was allowed to see his wife and newborn child for the first time on the day of the hearing. Mr. Khalil claims that if he's deported, he would become a target of Israel. The judge in his case has yet to weigh in fully on the issues of free speech and due process. Of course, there are examples of immigration enforcement closer to home, among them the federal prosecution of Milwaukee County Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan, who was charged with a felony count of obstruction and a misdemeanor of concealing an undocumented migrant to prevent his arrest by ICE in the Milwaukee County Courthouse after his hearing in her courtroom. Judge Dugan's guilt has yet to be determined, but ICE officers arrested the judge and her removal from the courthouse in handcuffs, rather than allowing her to surrender voluntarily, and her appearance in shackles at her initial hearing seem particularly vindictive. There are many other instances of unjust enforcement of the law by immigration agents and federal prosecutors. but we don't have enough time to discuss these today. Perhaps ironically, as President Trump pushes forward on his pledge to carry out mass deportations, U.S. immigration agents are detaining and deporting criminal defendants before their cases can move through U.S. courts, frustrating local law enforcement and stirring fear among some crime victims. Snatching up defendants in the middle of their criminal cases denies justice to communities and especially the victims, prosecutors say. They worry that defendants who are deported before their criminal cases are resolved could return to the U.S. and commit more crimes. My criticism of these actions by U.S. immigration agents should not be interpreted to mean that undocumented immigrants should not be deported if they have violated the law. However, the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution says, quote, "No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law," unquote. The Fifth Amendment does not apply only to citizens. It applies to all persons. It is unfortunate that the current immigration laws do not allow legal entry into the U.S. for many foreign nationals who contribute and who can contribute and have contributed to the U.S. economy. Undocumented immigrants pay taxes and pay into Social Security, though they will never be able to draw Social Security benefits. However, I'm not holding my breath for immigration reform anytime soon. In the meantime, I can only advocate that undocumented immigrants be accorded due process of law, the opportunity to receive timely notice of any charge against them, to engage legal counsel, and the opportunity to be heard on the claims in the charge. Thank you very much.
always have to move it down a little bit. UUCW's Split the Plate program is one of outreach and generosity. Each month, we give half of all undesignated offerings to a nonprofit organization to help us live our Unitarian Universalist values, pursue the goal of social justice, and serve our community. Our Split the Plate partner for May is We Got This. For 12 years, they've been developing a container vegetable garden on an open corner lot in the heart of the city. Through weeding garden beds, planting seeds, and figuring out how to bring water to newer garden spaces, the young people working with We Got This develop skills in communication, collaboration, and problem solving, while changing the neighborhood and providing healthy food to residents within the poorest areas of the state of Wisconsin. Participants who are in middle and high school are paid $20 for their 4 hours of service to the neighborhood. But the life lessons and tangible skills they learn are priceless. And I'm supposed to click, but I don't have the clicker. If you are participating virtually, please go to the UUCW website, Donate tab, and select Split the Plate from the menu provided. Or you can text or mail your donation today using the information found here. We thank you for your support, and we will now graciously accept your offering.
Now please join with me in reading the words for the dedication of the offering, which are printed in your order of service. To the work of this community, which is to ground ourselves in love and joy and to act for inclusion and justice, we dedicate ourselves and these offerings. Now please stand in body or in spirit and sing number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy
closing words were adapted from Praying for Refuge by an anonymous author. For so many reasons, people emigrate. They seek refuge from 1,000 dangers and uncertainties for themselves and their children, from places they can't stay onward to places often unknown. As we go forth today, let us hold the refugee, the asylee, and the immigrant in prayer. May your grief and loss be assuaged. May the hard road you travel include spaces of rest and security. May you know your inherent worth and dignity every day of the journey. Let us pray for the people who are met along the way. May they remember how they were strangers too. May they embrace the pathways of compassion. May they recall the teachings of the prophets. May they make room in their hearts and in their homes. May the plight of refugees everywhere stir our souls. May we count our blessings and direct our generous support where they are needed. May we seek partnerships that confront unjust structures and hardened hearts. May we recommit ourselves to global community beyond all borders. In human solidarity and with a firm commitment to the pathways of compassion, may we go forth and act unceasingly. May it be so.